There we go. We're back. Welcome to the Hip Hop Hustle podcast. I'm extremely excited about my next guest, the one, the only Jimmy B Fearless. I love that name, man. It like you just know that you're going to attack everything with no fear. And yeah, the fear of failure hits a lot of people, but that's not going to hit you. So Jimmy B Fearless is here. He just released a new album, Free Lunch Baby, that came out. You'll see like to me, like the songs Pitfalls, Sacrifice, they lead the charge. But also you had 3 singles drop in 2023, my friend. You had Right Now, Double, and I Wish as well. So yeah, you're on a wave. It's really good to see.
Thank you, man. I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you for having me on to the Hip Hop Hustle podcast. I mean, it's really good to be able to talk to someone about my music. As an artist, we just release and try to promote things of that nature, but to have a one-on-one conversation is a blessing. So I just really appreciate you making the time out, and thank you. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Well, I've said this before. This show would not be anything if it was just me talking into a mic. So people like you make it possible. But I'm always fascinated by the hustle that it is required in order to be a successful musician. It is so different from what I do, which is, to me, a lot simpler. It is just a natural conversation. We talk, I edit it a little bit, and then I put out. But you have to deal with a lot more. How do you find just the general grind of making music, dealing with the whole spectrum of what it is to be a musician?
Well, that's a really good question. I've started making music when I was 12. I'm 37, right? So I've been making music and releasing music when we did CDs. So we used to hustle like physical copies of CDs, man. Like I started making beats and started recording people when I was like 12 or 13 years old, just so I can make some extra money. And we would sell beat CDs. And then we started making mixtapes and I started selling my own stuff. Me and my best friend, Bobby De Niro from Delaware, we would like sell that. And that grind was hard because we would go to like different cities and try to sell music and it wasn't mixed well and the covers were all messed up. It was bad. Now, in this day and age, you have streaming. So it's more along the lines of how can you self-promote effectively? So how can you make things that are interesting, right? How can you keep someone online or looking at your feed or looking at your, content for more than 3 seconds, more than 5 seconds? If you can do that, certainly on like Instagram and TikTok, you got them. So it's easier, but you have to put in the work to do it. And you have to be consistent, but not too consistent. So it's really finding your lane, finding exactly what you want to do, how you want to do it, how you want to present yourself. And that's like just for the promotional side. In terms of the music side, I think it's easier than ever personally. Certainly as a person that started off in the 90s, like late 90s, when you had to like really do it yourself. In the early 2000s, there wasn't anything like BeatStar or Airbit or like I put a post on X and I was just like, I'm working on a new album called Love Is Real. I need beats for like a pop hip hop beats. And I had like 50 people hit me up. You could not do that in the early 2000s. That didn't exist. So it's easier now to make music, but since it's so competitive and everyone has the ability to do it, it does make it harder. So trying to be original, trying to promote, all of those things you have to take into account. Also, really making sure that you're intentional with what you're saying. Me, as a person that really believes that you put out art and you put out words, it means something. That's another aspect of it. So yeah, it's different from what we do, like recording those type of things, but you make conversation. I think that that's also very hard and very challenging because you could get with people that don't talk. I'm a talk. I'm a talker. You know what I'm saying? That's what I do naturally, and I make music. So I know how to network and talk to people. But if you with someone that doesn't, then it's hard. But in terms of music, man, it's like the yin and yang. It's easy to make it. It's easy to do. It's easy to find someone to mix down your music now because everyone's available on the internet. But it's harder to promote and it's harder to stand out because there's so much competition. So
Yeah, well, I've definitely had those interviews where people don't talk, and I'm like, I don't know why you agreed to do this, but okay, I guess I'm going to talk more today. So I'm very thankful that's not going to be the case today. But yeah, I don't know. It's weird because when you describe it, I'm like, I can't tell. Like you say, it's easier now, but I'm not sure if that's better now. You know what I mean?
True.
Like it's easier to make music, but then it's easier for everyone to make music. And it's harder to stand out from the crowd because the crowd is everyone. I mean, it's almost like every fan makes their own music or has
Right.
their own kind of like, so it's weird that your fans will love you but also make their own music, and it's like this thing is really different than what it felt like potentially in the 90s. I mean, maybe everyone was making music in the 90s as well, it just wasn't as visible, but it I don't know, it feels like a weird dynamic at the moment where like every man and his dog is going to go out and try and make a song and try their hand at this, and people will be more successful than others, and then all of a sudden it's so hard to just even stand out for a moment because everyone's doing the marketing thing and everyone's doing those things. So I'm like, I don't know, I don't know how to feel at the moment with regards to music and music creation. I'm just like, hey, if you make good music, you make good music.
Yeah, I think that it's always been that. It's just been different now that you can have your own platform. And people will be like, well, I have my own platform. You can have 10 followers and have your own platform. Seriously. Because you can have 5 people that know you, 5 people that don't. And if you post something, you get a little bit of engagement. That technically is a platform. But everyone always rapped. Like from where I'm from, all the kids rapped. I knew like adults that rapped. Everybody I've ever hung around rapped, did music, did poetry, sung, had clothing. Now the new thing's podcast. Before cats had like, independent radio stations. So I've always been around people that always does music. Everyone I know does music. So it's normal to me. But the problem comes with the oversaturation. And when you have oversaturation and you get a few people that gets really popular, then people start to copy and mimic it, right? So you have a million NBA young boys out there, and you have a million Playboy Cardis out there, right? So I think that it is easy because if you stand out a tad bit, people will notice it. So if you mentioned, thank you for mentioning my song Sacrifice and Pitfalls. Yeah, there's multiple trap songs. Yes, there's a lot of songs that sound Rob Wavish and really like, trying to relate to people in the personal struggle. But I have my own tonal voice and sound, and that's intentional. I say more punchlines in my songs than other rappers will, right? They'll just rap, right? And not really dig into what they're trying to say and try to use metaphors and double entendres. I try to do that myself. So I feel that yes, everyone does make music, but I've always been around people that do music. And I think it is cool now that everyone can make a verse and everyone can make a song. But the cream is always going to rise to the top unless they're, an industry plan or someone that's, there to make money for the industry. Then those folks might not be good, but they're gonna just have enough promotion and the machine behind them to make it. So I don't know. I disagree with you, man. I think it's a cool age to be in because it's simple for the really, really good ones to release music. The only thing they have to figure out is how to get known for music. That's hard. That's really hard because everyone promotes now. And it's not like it used to be.
Well, I think you make some interesting points and you talk about your differentiators, more punchlines, different rhyme schemes, you know. But what we're talking about is people who understand hip hop.
Exactly.
So, so what we actually have though is if you know hip hop and if you listen to it, well, then you're going to actually be like, okay, why is this different? I'm going to know different cadences. I'm going to be able to tell when someone's rhyming in pocket, out of pocket. I'm going to know those things. But then what we're talking about is because it's such an attention game, you're not actually going out to fans of hip hop. You're looking at just fans of pop. And I'm like, well, are those differentiators enough for a broad brush? They definitely are enough for people who are fans of hip hop. And you probably will get some of those. But like, I'm starting to be like, well, why would Jimmy B. Fearless ever? He should never have to compromise on the art in order to get attention. And I feel like there are people out there who compromise on their art purely because they know that they'll get attention. And I'm like, that's the wrong incentive structure for an artist because you start to be inauthentic And once you're inauthentic, it's not really your art anymore. It's just you're doing it for money, and that's a different conversation altogether. So I don't know. I still feel like authenticity is not. I don't know. There's a weird feeling at the moment. I mean, you look at the Grammys, who was nominated. It's all like 35-plus-year-old artists. It's no new young artists. Killer Mike won. This,
Yep.
I mean, no one ever thought that would be possible in hip hop. Everyone was
Yeah.
saying that it's a young man's game, it's a young person's game. And now we're having the best artists in the world, the people who are amazing 20 years ago as well. Nas is having a resurgence. So it's like, I don't know, hip hop feels weird at the moment. It seems to be going through a real transition.
Yeah, I think that the older artists, the more talented artists are shining through. And that's because a lot of us were born in that age where you had to be nice to get on. Like you had to be the best at making songs, freestyling. Like you had to really be like incredible to get a record deal, incredible to get any popularity, incredible to even get noticed in your neighborhood. You had to be the best in your neighborhood, then the best in your city, then the best in your state, then the best, like if he was East Coast, West Coast, or down South. It's the same now. And that's why Nas can like sell records still, because he has bars. He makes great music. He tells stories. If I was talking to somebody about this the other day, if like Big L and like Big Pun and like Biggie and Tupac were still alive, people always be like, well, they probably wouldn't be relevant because you have like NBA Youngboy and all those guys. Those guys still would have existed, right? Yeah, relevant in terms of like selling millions and millions of records, probably not. But in terms of like getting Grammys, yeah, because they would have just got better. So Killer Mike is from that age. Outkast is from that age. So if like Outkast brought out an album, they're probably win album of the year because they have that innate, I know how to rhyme. I know how to make a song. I know how to touch people. But now it's just easier to bring it out independently, easy to get money to push behind it. That's what I mean by it's easier now. Because all due respect, the younger generation is trash. Let's just call a spade a spade. And they don't have to be good at music no more. Because their fan base, they demo doesn't expect rapping. They expect rhythm. They expect you to make like a popular song. They don't expect you to rhyme. They listen to like the female resurgence of hip hop, right? I would say more trap rap, candy rap. They make like, junk food rap. And Nicki Minaj kind of falling into that. I remember when Nicki first came out, she was making like really hardcore, like heartfelt rap and like hip hop songs. Now she can just make candy corn. They can literally just make Snickers. And there's a difference between junk food and like an entree, like real food, like a 5-course meal. I'm trying to make 5-course meals. These kids are making just something that you can consume and throw away. They're making stuff for TikTok reels. And that's okay because there's always been artists like that. Like even in the 2000s, let's be honest, Dipset, they made some terrible music. It's classics, but they did make terrible music that was just easy to consume. So I think that's happening right now and it's more popular. But like you said, the artists that are really getting the recognition, the artists that are actually like still being able to go on tour, the artists that are really like doing real shows and really getting real notoriety are those older artists. They are those Killer Mikes. They are those Nas's. They are the Pusher T's. Like those are the artists that's really getting it. J. Cole, like the artists that are in their 30s, 35s that really had that foundation in hip hop, they're the ones that's still doing it. And that's the reason why as a 37-year-old that doesn't have like the biggest platform in the world, I'm able to triple my Spotify listeners, triple my Apple listeners in a year because I make consistent music that's good to compete with that age range. And my demo buys music still. My demo buys merch. So I think it's easy. But the younger folks, it could be hard for them because they don't have that foundation of just music in general. And that could be to the detriment of them when they get older. So
It's almost a different genre now, though.
it is.
Like it's a different lane. Like it's elements of hip hop, but it's not. It doesn't really hit, the traditional layers of hip hop, the lyricism. And you're right. It is like it's attention grabbing. It's like eat your Big Mac, throw it away. That's it. It doesn't really give you any sustenance. The content that they're talking about isn't that you don't think about it and you go, oh, that was sick. You're like, oh, I know what this is. You're either talking about sex, drugs, crime. but it's not really commentary. Whereas, hip hop of the late '90s, and we're sounding really old on this show. But like, I agree with you. Like the big L's, the big puns, Biggie's, Tupac, it was all versions of commentary on their life and life in general. And I 100% agree with you. I think they would still be relevant, and I still think they would sell out shows. They would be able to tour, no problems at all,
See,
because
50 back touring.
50 Cent is the most sold out artist in the world. He sells out every single tour he goes on. He does multiple shows in the biggest arenas, and he hasn't made music for like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, longer than that. But he is about to bring out a new album, and I'm pretty sure it's going to sell because it's going to be a viral moment just because of people knowing who he is, right? But then also the fact that he tours all over the globe. Like, he might not be like the biggest artist in America. Who cares? He goes to South America, it's stupid. It's crazy when he goes to South America. When he go to UK, it's crazy. So 50 Cent, and he's older. Like, he can still do his thing. I mean, shit, Tony Yayo's still on tour with him. And it's just, I think that it's the best time to be an older artist. Certainly if you already have that established platform. Because now you can go ahead and do so much more things with just music. You can have so many different brands and so many things connected to you. And I feel like Jelly Roll, I remember I used to listen to Jelly Roll like 5-6 years ago. He was not like this. He wasn't Jesus-y and country-ish, but like he's been grinding forever.
Well, I remember he was on the documentary too with Game, just featuring like so long ago. Yeah.
Like,
so
everyone knows Jelly. Like, he's known in the industry. He just didn't get that song to pop, right? But when he finally got those songs to pop, and what he really did was he popped on TikTok because of him just releasing his hooks and releasing his verses, and then his family, like his girl and all that stuff just started to build up. And that's what I mean. Like, if you have the consistency, you have the grind, but if you have the music, you're good. You are good. And we don't, like a lot of those older artists, we never wanted to sound like anyone because we wanted to compete. We wanted to be better than Eminem and better than Hov and better than Nas and better than The Game and better than everybody. Like, we all wanted to go up against Kendrick, not sound like Kendrick. Like, none of us wanted to do that. Nobody. But now it's not like that. The younger artists all want to do that because, like you said, the financial aspect is tremendous. You can put in, let's say you put in $100,000 and you pop like Ice Spice or somebody like that, or one of these other guys. You put in $100,000, you could possibly, the record label, I mean, could make 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 million. Artists might make only like $1 million, but they could make so much more money off of touring, 360 deals, merchandise, all of those different things. So it's a good investment if that person is popular and can make good music that people like to listen to on repeat. So yeah, the younger artists are going to chase the money, but the older artists, we always chase like more the notoriety. Like, we wanted to get people to say, yo, that's nice, or I love that song, or that's dope. And I think that's the reason why it's so easy for us now, because if you chase that right thing, you're going to get people to be like, yo, I like you because you're authentic, or I like you because you got a different style, or I like you because you're consistent and you make dope music, or I like you because, you just Jimmy B. Fearless. Like, and that's what I get. That's the messages I get. Like, yo, I never heard nothing like that before, or this song is dope, or I feel where you're coming from. And I don't think younger artists or other artists that follow other, like the other styles, they get that because they sound like everybody else.
Well, they're not chasing to be in the top 5 list.
Mm-hmm.
That was the thing. Everyone wants to be in the top 5. Like, you want to be in people's top 5 hip hop artists of all time. I mean, there's not that many in the last 5 years that you would be like even eligible. You're still talking about your Kendricks, your J. Coles. You're still talking about those guys who've been making music for a long time. But is there anyone that would be like, any new artist that would be like throwing a genuine hat in the ring of like, hey, I want to be known as one of the best artists of all time?
I mean, I would say like Conway, a lot of those Griselda guys, they really care about the art.
But they're older as well. Like,
they're older. Yeah, people don't know that. I know they're new. Like, people know them like past 6 years, 5 years maybe. But like, they're older too. They've been grinding for years, But they have that, like they want to be known as the best spitters, like they have the best bars, they make the best songs, but they also try to make commercial hits too because they know that that brings money. So that's kind of like the model, like yeah, like Griselda, like those guys. Those are the only ones I could think of. I mean, I would say Push, but like Pusha T, I mean, what's the last album he brought out? 2, 3 years ago, and Push is like 42 or something. So there's no new artists that I would consider that's even thinking about bars. Like bars is like something that you laugh about on Twitter or X or whatever. Like the kids laugh about that. Like, oh, he got bars, ha ha ha. Like before, like that was like the main thing. Like you had to be nice, and it's not like that anymore. So, hey, to each his own. I know that the demo that actually listens and buys records in all genres, they really appreciate people that make really good music. It's like that in pop and all of that. Like Taylor Swift, she makes awesome music. So that's the reason why she sells so much. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I feel that if you listen to a lot of music, you can feel like, damn, everyone sounds the same. If you listen to the radio, you're like, oh my God, this sucks. You listen to like those playlists, those curated playlists for you, you're gonna be like, these motherfuckers are terrible. But if you just do a little bit of searching and look like, oh, this person made this beat, or oh, let me go and check this playlist and see if I can find somebody that sounds like this, you'll find some artists out there that are fucking amazing that no one knows who they are yet, but they're like really bubbling up and they really snapping. So you just got to do a little bit of research, and I think you'll be happier with the type of talent that's out there. I already know you do that though, because you talk to us. So I'm pretty sure you heard all types of stuff.
Well, I'm a big fan of go find a sound you like, go find the producer, and go find who the producer's been working with. And then you're going to find a whole lane of artists, and then you'll see who they've been featured with. And then you just go down this rabbit hole, and it's like, it's just this web of connections that people have in hip hop.
Yep.
I mean, that's often how I get more guests is like, I know this person, let me look at their catalog, let me look at who they've been working with. Oh, this sound is interesting. Oh, I find this interesting. Then you'll go. I just think that's the only way really to find music that genuinely clicks with you. And you will be surprised. You will listen to music that you didn't even know existed, and you'll be like, I didn't think I would like that as much as I do like that. And then, hey, guess what? You've got more music that you're a fan of. So, yeah, I think you just have to take accountability for your own musical journey. If you let songs continue to be pushed at you, you're just going to eat trash all day.
Yep.
And you're going to think that trash is good.
Just like everything. If you go ahead and just do what's convenient for you, you're gonna get some bad stuff. No matter what it is. TV, food, music, art, clothing. That's why the cats that had like the best like swag, the ones that had the best like fashion, is the ones that like really dig deep into like clothes. Like they really go to multiple stores and find like vintage shit. Like those are the motherfuckers that really like know, you know what I mean? And you can spot them out. So you have to be like that. You gotta eat your vegetables. You gotta eat a well-balanced diet. And you just can't it's sometimes good to have junk food. Like I know, like junk food is cool. Like I listen to all that dumb shit that people love and that's on the top 10. I listen to it because I feel like there's always a lane to make a good hit song. If you make a hit song, then one hit song, I can make whatever the fuck I want for the rest of my career. That's always
it also sounds good. Like it also sounds good. It feels good. Yeah. Like, yeah. I think, yeah, like it's just like it can't be your whole thing, but it's like, hey, you got to have deep and meaningful songs. You got to have hype songs. You got to have songs that are just feel good. You got to have songs that are like nasty and shit and like, you know, make you feel like you want to fuck somebody up. You got to have it all in your like repertoire of music because, yeah, the one thing is just boring. I think that's what it is. You just can't have the same meal every day.
You can't. Like, I listen to like NBA Youngboy, I listen to him, I don't know, sometimes, right? But I listen to one of his albums because for some reason, the cover looked like some old Hot Boy stuff from like Cash Money days back in the early, like, what was it, 98 or whatever when they came out. And I was like, I know he's from like New Orleans or whatever. So I was like, let me go ahead and check it out. And when I played it, I was like, damn, this does take me back to like, back to Cash Money days. So he got a few songs on my personal playlist that I listen to. I don't be listening to his ass all the time, no. Like, anybody trying to hear that shit? He said the same words all the time. Like, no disrespect to NBA Youngboy, but he know he ain't great. You know what I mean? But for his fans, hey, he's the GOAT. You know, a lot of people would think, Playboy Cardi's the GOAT. So Hey, I'm not gonna sit here and say any artist is trash or whatever, because I listen to everybody. I listen to Playboy Cardi too, but I don't listen to that shit all the time. You know, like if I want to listen to something that's meaningful or deep, I would listen to like Kendrick Lamar, or I might listen to some Tame Impala or whatever I feel like listening to, some violins and shit. Like it could be anything. I listen to every type of music because it's something that you can consume and feel and relate to. And like you said, sometimes I just feel like driving my car real fast. I'm gonna play some Playboy Cardi and make the car rumble. You know what I mean? So, but if you listen to the same shit all the time, I think that you can get lost, and it does have an effect on you. Just like playing violent video games all the time, watching violent movies, that shit will have an effect because mentally your mind is consuming it, watching it. So, of course, it's going to have an effect. So just mix it up, and I think that you'll find so much more enjoyment in music. Not you, but people in general.
Yeah, in general. I spoke to an artist that said the exact same thing. She said that she was listening to too much sad music and
Mm-hmm.
she was sad all the time. That she
Yep.
felt depressed. And she said to herself, like, you can take accountability for it. Like, I don't have to listen to this anymore and I can listen to positive music. And then she started making positive music. Uh,
Yep.
so it's like, it really does influence your mind and influence the way you see the world. So it's so important.
Yeah, I totally agree. And back to like the music, like certainly my music, I have a problem with always wanting to tell a story for every album. So if you listen to Free Lunch Baby, it's a story, right? And like Passport Stamps, Kobayashi, Fi, all of the albums I brought out is a story. The next album, The Love Is Real, is like a really big story. So, but it's more like, kind of like a high, like I'm not really breaking it down for you during skits or intros. It's more like an overall general theme of the album, The Love Is Real. And I feel like for her, when she's talking about she used to listen to sad music and then making now happy music, I feel like you should on an album hopefully touch the emotional spectrum as much as you can, right? If you can have anger, you can have happy, you can have some stuff that is depressing, some stuff that does make you feel good, some stuff that's insightful. Like you can have multiple spectrums on an album. And that's the reason why I like to create albums. I love singles. I love bringing out singles and things of that nature, but I'm more of an artist that like do albums because I can tell an entire story on an album. I can tell a small story on a single, but if I can give you an overall message, my personal message that I want to talk about, to me, that's very beneficial. So my albums will have sad shit on there, like Empty Funerals is on Free Lunch Baby. That's a sad song. Or Is It Real? That's also a sad song. But then I have songs like Double that's a little more energetic and more happy. So you need to touch the emotional spectrum. And I don't feel like a lot of artists do that anymore. They used to be like needed, when you wanted to make a good album. So I always think about how can I make a good album, not how can I make a good song. Like, nah, that's not for me. But some artists that is for. They can make just a dope song and that's it. That's all they got and that's all they want to do, which is cool.
It's exactly like making a great movie or a great scene.
Yep.
You can make a great scene, but if the movie's shit, the movie's shit. But if the scene flows and it makes sense and the movie's great, like I think that's the important thing is that, yeah, I don't know. I just am like, yeah, keep making albums. Albums are just the best. But what I did want to ask you about is you mentioned this just offhanded, and maybe you haven't thought about this much, but do you think there are industry plans?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think so. But that's okay. That's okay for me. I don't I used to get pissed off about it, like, oh, they got all this industry money and stuff like that. Well, we all went to high school, right? So when you go to high school, you're gonna have some popular kids, okay? That's going to get, possibly the scholarships in school. They might be athletic. So you have the athletic kids. Then you have like the fashionable kids. Then you have the emo kids. Then you have like the kids like me, the outcasts that were a little crazy as hell. Then you have the gangster kids and the kids that smoke outside outside the gym and stuff like that. You're gonna have these little pockets, these little pocket communities in school. I feel like that's how it is in music. You're gonna have some people that they have the talent, but they need the industry behind them to push them to the major audience. So that'll be like an industry plan. Then you gonna have some people that's like, they just got the talent, they release a song, they have the look, they did it by their own, so they get popular, and then they can dictate, oh, I want to sign with this label and this and that and this and that. So I don't feel like that's a bad thing, because as long as we are able to, myself, like an independent artist, is able to still build a platform, then I'm happy. I'm happy and I'm okay with that, because I know that, yes, I might not have all the industry money behind me, but I can still get major. Example, Young Dolph and Key Glock. Young Dolph is not an industry plant. He built that shit up from the mud. And you see it worked for him, rest in peace. And it happened to a lot of artists like that. But yes, there are definitely industry plants. You can see them. It's real easy. Like they have like 100,000 or like even like 50,000 followers on Instagram right now. They have a few videos getting released on World Star Hip Hop. It seems like they're independent videos, not too much quality, but that's just the label just putting a little bit of money behind them to see how it goes. And then once they get like that one song that pop, or like that one good song, then you'll see like the major rollout. Oh, they were signed with Def Jam or whoever the hell, you know what I'm saying? Like UMG, Get the Publishing. You'll hear all that stuff and it's all in the background. It happens all the time, but it's just the business. I'm not a person that is spiteful over the business. I feel like to do that is just stupid. You need to know where you are and need to understand the business, because you might be in it. So yeah, industry plans is a big thing. What do you think? Do you think industry plans exist?
I mean, they have to, right?
Right.
I mean, why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't, like, I'm just trying to put myself in the shoes of a major company. Why would I not try and go and source my own local young talent? And I would just be like, okay, your job is to find people with potential to pop. So we're just going to go approach them. We do it real. We're just going to go, hey, we try some shit with you. We'll see if it pops. If it pops, we'll sign you. We'll push you. If it doesn't, you're dead to us. We'll never speak to you again. Good luck. I have no doubt they do those things. And I have no doubt that they may have conversations and they just make a call and be like, hey, I see something. Yeah, I'm willing to back this. Sight unseen, I'm willing to put money behind it. There's something about this. I like the look. I think we can sell it. It makes sense. I mean, they're in the business of making money. Like, if you were able to get it dirt cheap, it's like a dirt cheap stock. You're like, if I get it at the ground level, I have to spend barely any money and I can make, as you said, 10, 20, $50 million. And I spent $50,000, $100,000 to get it, to get them across for, and then I own the rights to all their music.
Yep.
I mean, why wouldn't you do that as a business realistically? So yeah, I think the only thing that people will find begrudging to that is that they may feel it's unearned, especially people who've been doing it for a long time. You're like, well, you just got lucky. But like luck, yeah, luck is part of it at the end of the day. Like, I don't know. I think, yeah, it is what it is. And Cat Williams has spoken about it. It was like the biggest interview of 2024 already. He spoke about industry plants and Kevin Hart. And it's not only hip hop and music, it's literally any entertainment genre and any genre, literally any business. There are going to be people who are just put there because they know the right people.
Yep. And then you're going to have people like Cat Williams that can still sell out tours. And he's not an industry plant, which I think is funny that he's so successful, one of the most successful comics of all time, talking about industry plants. Isn't that ironic? Like, why would you talk about that? You know, I'm glad he's peeping us the game and giving us the ism, but like, you're talking about that, but you're not that, and you're more almost as successful as Kevin Hart. Now, Kevin Hart's worth hundreds of millions of dollars, but in terms of like tours and things of that nature and comedy, like tours, Kevin Hart's right up there with him, because he does more and he does bigger arenas than Kevin Williams or Cat Williams is, or excuse me, Kevin Hart is doing right now. It's weird. So I think it's just good to acknowledge it. Like, yes, record labels want to make money. They're a business. They're not here to give you charity. They don't give a shit about you. If you can't make a hit, or you can't make music, or they can't sell you as a pretty face, your ass is grass. You're not going to make it. So what do? You need to pivot. You need to work hard. You need to build your own foundation. Now, I back my own music career, right? So I can, that's the reason why I'm taking so long to get where I'm at, because I'm backing it. If someone does hear something of me, I make a good enough song with people like, oh, it starts to pop on like radio or like a major level, then yeah, I will get approached by record labels. And you goddamn right, I'm going to consider it, because infrastructure and those connections are invaluable. They're invaluable. Like I have no idea how to get on the radio. You know, I know how to get on playlists and know how to pitch the playlist. I know how to contact people. I can do that. But I don't know how to get on the radio because radio is controlled by major conglomerates. So as an independent, it's very hard. But if I had that connect from the record label and I can get cool with that person, maybe I can have that once that record deal is over. But people don't think like that. People think about, oh, woe is me, instead of like, where's my opportunity? It's there, but you got to understand, like, okay, I can pivot to it because this might not work or this sound might not work, but you can continue to create. And that's the dope part. You can just go on like one of these websites, find 1,000 beats in different styles and just work on it. That's why I got my mic right here. That's why I record right here in my own place because I can continue to work on it. Then if I think the song is good enough, I can go to a real studio and re-record it. You know, like you have to set yourself up for success. And I swear, like a lot of these artists that just not getting picked up or not getting any traction, it's bitch and moan all the time. I can't stand it. Like you got to take control of your own destiny, man. Sometimes you're not going to make it. But if you got albums out or you got music out and somebody's listening to it, I'm sorry. That's a success because it is really hard to get one person to play your shit. One. That's not your family. So people got to be happy, man, with what they got. And they got to understand that just because someone doesn't earn it, they might have something that you don't have. They might have the look, or they might know how to write songs, or they might know how to flow on beats, or they might know how to do performances, or they might know how to do like Instagram and TikTok and shit really well. They got something. They ain't talentless. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think they spend too much time looking at everybody else.
Yeah.
I mean, I fall into that trap. I'm not going to lie. I look at, other people and I'm like, oh, I'd love to be there. And to be honest, I sometimes forget that you're right. That like, yeah, I do have strangers listening to the show that have never met me before and who genuinely follow it all the time. I have people like yourself wanting to be on the show. If you asked me at the beginning, I would never have thought that this was even possible to be able to release the amount of episodes to speak to the caliber of people I've spoken to. Yeah. I think it's the trouble of wanting to continue to be successful is that you struggle to recognize the success you already have.
Yeah, that's a that's an issue with it's like that capitalistic mind state, right? Like where are you at?
I'm in Melbourne, Australia.
Okay, so you're in Australia, right? So it's really similar to America where we always trying to chase that dollar. Our grand success is like being at the Grammys and winning. And not like not like local level stuff. Like, no, we want to be at the Grammys and win. That's my goal, right? My goal is to be on the Grammys and to win a Grammy and say, Delaware, this is for you, and then bunk out. Like, that is my goal. But like, is people now understanding there's little small steps you're gonna have to take to get there? And each one of those small steps are like a really great victory because there's someone that's like looking at you now that's like, how the hell do I get there? There's someone that's gonna listen to this and be like, how the fuck do I even buy a mic to record this shit? Like, I want to do this, but I can't. Like, I have no idea. I don't have the money or the time or the ambition. So, but we don't look at it like that. As people, as humans, we look at like the biggest example and be like, I want to emulate that. And something that I learned and I thought about, because I was the same way for years, I looked at Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan, I didn't know he had his podcast since like podcasts were invented. Like, but when that word started going around, he started like '07 or some shit. Look, it's like 20 years almost he had his podcast. And it just like a couple years ago just started blowing up, like to big numbers. He was interviewing his friends, man. Like his studio was terrible. Like he ain't have shit. So time is something that we live in and we don't understand that 20 years is super fast. And like, it might take you that long, but as long as you're consistent and you can just live in that next podcast, that next album, that next song, hopefully you won't get deterred, And that's just, I think it's so hard for us to understand that as humans, man. And it's something that we need to really dig deep into. And I feel that one of the best topics to always talk about is time. Time is something that we do not understand. We will never get it until it's too late. So You're doing really well, bro. Like for real. So you deserve the flowers, man. And you're gonna keep going up.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I don't know. I think there are days that you have and you're like, "Ah, I don't know why I do this. And then there are days where
Yeah.
you're like, yeah, I know why I do this. But yeah, I mean, you're right. I have people regularly asking me like, how would I start a podcast? Like, how have you been doing it for so long? How have you remained consistent? How do you get the guests that you get on the show? I mean, I always love saying I don't know. Um, but yeah, I think you're definitely right. And what you touch on is important is like after doing it for 10, 20 years, what level of mastery will you have? Like you're at that point where very few people will have your level of mastery in the specific skill set that you have. And so people may grab attention faster, but they will not be as good as you over that period of time. And I think that's what's always kind of sat in the back of my mind is like, you just got to keep getting better and keep doing it. And then over time, your skill set will become unparalleled. Like people say constantly, I've heard so many get people who've been on his show talk about his show, and they're just like, the way he talks to you is like no one they've ever spoken to. He's so present and he's so interested and he's genuinely curious. And it's like, that's where we should be trying to strive to as a podcaster is being the best conversationalist that you can possibly be. That's the goal at the end of the day.
It's an art. It's an art to be able to speak with someone and allow someone to speak and then listen and then have follow-up questions on that. It's an art. A lot of people don't do that. They're very self-involved and, narcissistic, a lot of folks. So being able to do that is an art and it's something that's built over time. Now, one thing I can say about this though is that there's a such thing as natural talent. And then people, like we talked about earlier, just doing it because they want to do it. Those people that are just doing it, that want to do it, just floods the market. And that is to the detriment of everybody. There should not be like 20 million podcasts in one subject because you'll go through them. I have a lot of these and go through them and they haven't posted in years. And it's just like, I understand people quit. You start stuff, it doesn't work out. But that's like what causes people to be like, oh, everyone has a podcast. Everyone raps. Like, I wish that there was just a way to like weed people out and be like, look, man, only the top people that's ready for it can do this. But that's the reason why if you search hip hop podcasts, you come up in that top realm. Like you come up in like the top 20, 25 because you're consistent and you do this shit. And that's what I mean. Like it's the perfect time. A lot of competition, a lot of people out there, a lot of those motherfuckers disappear. Like if you ever go to the gym, like have you ever like signed up for a gym membership in the beginning of the year?
Yeah. The gym that I go to, they're like, yeah, everybody knows.
Like that's a worldwide thing. It's a worldwide phenomenon. Like that first, oh my God, these motherfuckers they taking all the machines. They don't know what they doing. They going crazy in the gym. And then like in a month, I mean, sometimes weeks, it's gone. It's the same old people that always go to the damn gym.
Yeah.
So I run a lot. I'm trying to get into like 5Ks and 10Ks and possibly marathons in a couple of years. And it's the same people running every day, all the time. It's always way past the same people. It's the consistency. It's the same people. But those people that come in, they fresh, they so energized to do it, a lot of them just disappear. And that's what everything is. Any art that you do, that's really what it is. The main key factor is consistency and continuing to get better. Because you can just make a whole bunch of fucking music and it'd be terrible and it continues to be terrible and you don't take no feedback, you don't get no help, you don't get better, you don't continue to upgrade yourself, you don't listen to your mistakes, like you don't try to make better songs. That's the key. Consistency and getting better. That's the key to success, I believe.
I agree with you. You are 100% right. Consistency and just being disciplined. It's not motivation at that point. You don't have motivation for 20 years. It's just it's not a thing. You have motivation to start and then you have discipline to continue in the eye of the goal, and you will have spurts of motivation as you go throughout, but you're not motivated every single day, every moment. You may not be motivated for 12 months. but you just do it, and you believe in the discipline, and you believe in the system, and you believe that it's going to pay off. That is ultimately what the success is. And I mean, you have your own podcast. The average length of a podcast to survive is like less than 10 episodes.
Yeah.
Which
I
is
believe that.
insane. I think it's like more than 50% of podcasts don't get past 8 episodes.
Yeah.
And that
makes
is
sense.
wild. Like
It
if you
makes so
get
much sense.
if you get over 100, I mean, I'm probably pulling this out of my ass, but you're definitely in the top 5% of content created making. So once you're in that realm, you can be like, okay, well, I'm already in the top 5% of content created. And I will preface this, podcast is not just you talking into a mic for 5 minutes and releasing it and calling it a podcast, and you do it whenever you fucking feel like it, because there are plenty of those podcasts where they're like 2 minutes and I release it. That's not a podcast. A podcast is systematic every week. People know what's coming. That is what a podcast really is, not whenever the fuck you feel like it. So like you just can't get it twisted. Same as music. If you just go into a studio whenever you feel like it, don't critically analyze what you made, and you're just like, I'm just going to release whatever I made in that session, you're not really making music. Like you can't say you put your 100% into it. You can't say that you really tried your best. You just tried to do what was cool. You tried to do what Lil Wayne does, and Lil Wayne is a 20-year, 30-year veteran who now can go in the studio and rhyme off the top. That's not you. You haven't earned that. So yeah, I don't know. I think you're right. You just got to put in the time. You got to put in the dedication, and you got to be willing to fuck shit up and make mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, I swear, no one is as critical as you're going to be, like you on yourself, right? Like people listen to my music, I'll be like, you didn't hear that, or you don't like, do you think, like, what do you think? And motherfuckers be like, that shit fire, like then that'd be it. Or they'd be like, then some people are really like critical. So like one thing I like to do, and this could be for like artists out there, I don't know if you ever heard of Submit Hub before. Submit Hub is a way that you can use, like take your music and submit it to playlist curators. And it's dope because they give you like unfiltered feedback. And they'll tell you like straight up, like your mix is terrible, or I don't like the song, or the hook is whack. Like they are like real playlists that are on Spotify and YouTube and SoundCloud. And then they also have this feature called Hot or Not. You can submit your song for like $6 or something to like 50 other artists or 50 other playlist curators, and they'll listen to your song and give you honest feedback about it. And these people don't know you. They never heard of you. I do that with almost every song I release. Certainly anything I consider a single. I'm getting straight.
What is the feedback you get? Like when you say it's unfiltered, what do they say?
Okay, so you know what? Let's make this as real as humanly possible. All right, so I have a song that I'm working on called Small Circles, High Walls. It's for my album, The Love Is Real. And I also got a song called Invisible. This is one of the things, one of the feedbacks that I got. I like the slower flow on this, but it sounds like your voice is too low on this. The volume, it makes me seem that it lacks presence of the track. Sometimes it sounds like you trail behind the beat a little bit. Like I said, the slower flow is cool and I enjoy the gaps between every bar, but sometimes it doesn't sound on point. And sometimes it sounds like you're just rapping too slow off beat. Just a matter of finding the bars to do and dragging them to the left a little bit. The beat is nice and chill and it suits your voice and rapping style. Dope song, but just need to re-record it and work a little bit. Do you think that you would ever get that feedback from somebody in real life? No.
No one listens that intently.
That motherfucker did. You see what I'm saying? And I got examples out the wazoo. Somebody said, it's all right, but the flow is super awkward. It kind of sounds like you're talking randomly. Keep working on it, though. I think it'd be dope. Somebody else said, yo, you got this shit. This shit's a hit. Someone said, not bad, but you need to work on the quality. And they even rate like the song, like I got a 92 on the vocals, a 30% friendly, and a 80 or 68% for song structure. Someone said this shit is super wavy, start song, and the voice is great. gives me Kendrick vibes initially, but definitely needs to get re-recorded to tighten up the vocals because I freestyled the song. Got the hook, but I just freestyled it. And when I freestyle, sometimes, it's not as tight as on the beat as if I'm writing the song, obviously. And I decided to go ahead and release it unmixed just onto Submit Hub to get feedback because I want to get better. That's what I'm talking about. Finding ways to get unfiltered feedback from people because your family and friends ain't going to give you that shit, period. If they like you, they don't want to hurt your little punk feelings. These motherfuckers going to hurt your little punk feelings. So anybody that needs out there looking for it or needs something like that, submithub.com. They have broke me down and made me upset and made me want to quit. Even all that positive shit I said before, some of the feedback in here, songs I thought were dope, people have broken it down and multiple people said, this ain't it, I don't like it, not fit my playlist. But that makes you stronger and you get that feedback and you can continue to build on it. You can continue to build on it. That's what I mean by getting better. Shit like that helps.
How do you overcome that feedback? Because, I mean, now you're in a place where you're confident, you believe in yourself, you have the vision, you're willing to put in the work. But how did you get there? That's difficult for a lot of people to hear. Their egos are fragile, they're struggling. But yeah, how did you manage to get into that place where that sort of feedback doesn't ruin your career and make you want to quit music?
You need to realize you're not the best. You're the best in your house, probably, maybe, depending on who you live with, but you're not the best, right? Like, I know I'm not the best. And the reason why I know that is very clear. If I release a song and it didn't blow up or something like that, or like even if I promoted it and not a lot of engagement happened, there's probably something there. So once I realized that, you know what, I can get better because I'm not the best. I'm not, like, I think Kendrick Lamar is the best rapper ever because he's every other artist that were like in the top 5 smushed into this dude from Compton. I really believe that Kendrick Lamar is the GOAT. I'm not as good as K-Dot. So why? Is it a natural ability? Is it the fact that he has a big conglomerate and machine behind him? Is it the fact that he's just flat out better at me in bars and his mind is sharper? Is it the type of music that he makes? Why am I not as good as Kendrick Lamar? Or why can't I make a hit song like Young Dolph and like those other cats I look up to? Well, maybe it's because I'm by myself, or maybe it's because I'm not good enough, or maybe it's because the beat selection. And I play my music for people, my friends and family, and they like it. So that's what made me look for outside feedback because I don't have someone out there that's like in the industry that could just tell me like, this is a hit, this ain't. So once I got over the initial like feedback, like, whoa, these people are telling me I got work to do. To me, it motivated me. Like, well, shit, if I can get better, I can do this song better, or I can continue to write better, or I can like literally really start to break down like what flow pattern fits and what makes me sound good. What beats sound good for me? What tempo do I sound good for? What octave am I at? Do I need like to get singing lessons? Like, if you really in this shit, like, you should be thinking about how you can get better. You don't want to go out there and keep releasing songs and it does nothing. Why be a failure? Like, fuck it. I wasn't born with the best natural talent. I have some talent, but I know I can continue to work on it. And just got to think about Jordan, man. Think about Michael Jordan. Cut from this high school team, wasn't really thought of as an A+ prospect. When he got drafted, it was like, he was the number 2 pick. It was like, he's cool, but like, he gonna probably be all right, 25-point scorer. Nobody knew Jordan was gonna become that shit. You see how hard he worked to get there? So I just let that ego slide. Like, yeah, I knew in the back of my mind I could always be better because I didn't pop when I was like 21 or 18 or some shit. So what do I need to work on? And getting that feedback, man, it's helped me tremendously. And continuing to get it. Continuing to get that, continue to work on it. Not all feedback is good. Some shit is dumb. Like, some shit is like, oh, whatever, get the fuck out of here. But a lot of this stuff is constructive. And that stuff is what you're going to get in the industry. Because when you're in the industry, man, you in that studio and you got people putting $10 million behind your ass, you don't think they're going to give it to you raw, pause? They're going to tell you, though, this shit is trash. You need to record this shit. Fuck this whole song. And they're going to be mean as shit with you. So you better build that toughness now. Because when you get into them big boardrooms, that's exactly what's going to happen to you. So that's how I built it, man. I built it from the ground up. Getting told I was not good enough. Getting told this song sucks. Just building that resiliency and just not taking the shit personal and being like, you know what? I can get better. I can do this. I can be better. I can make better songs. And I'm continuing to work on that straight up.
I think a lot of artists don't do that.
No, you can tell.
I think it's a hip hop. It's weird because I know it's a front. Like, I think we're not insane. If you genuinely believe you're the greatest of all time, it's like, put any one of your songs up against those and tell me which one's better. Like, there is a point where you sound dumb for saying you're the best.
Yeah.
I genuinely and I've spoken to many people and it's like, come on, man. Like, that's not true. Everyone knows that's not true. Because I can go to anyone, I can go to your Spotify and there are just, the songs don't stack up to the greats. That's the truth. I know for a fact that I'm not the best podcaster of all time. I can't turn around and no one has ever heard me say that I'm the best. I'm better than everybody else and that no one can compete with me and that I got nothing else to learn and that, the game is against me. No, that's just not true. If I was the best, people would tell me I'm the best. No one's saying that shit. So if no one's telling you other than yourself you're the best, and now maybe you have the potential to be the best, that may be true, but until you're there, you got to sit down, shut the fuck up and keep grinding. And then when other people are like, hey man, this was unreal, when strangers tell you it's unreal, when your listeners and your fans are like, I can't wait for more of your music, you are the best to me, that's when you can start believing your own hype. But there are so many people who start claiming shit that they haven't earned yet. It's like, just earn it. You got to go out and earn it.
It's way more satisfying as well to when people be like, yo, you gotten better. And I've heard that, so I'm married. My wife, she gives me raw feedback. And I would say that she also, doesn't just be like, yeah, that's she'll be like, oh yeah, I like that. But to me, that's not good enough. I want to hear oh shit, I'm about to play this all the time. I want to play this on my Spotify or my Apple playlist or whatever she listened to. You know what I mean? That's good. But the truth is that people live in fantasy lands. If you live in reality for a second, you will really be happier because then you are okay with being told that you're not good enough and you need to work on it. And if someone tells you that that's just a hater, you'll be able to recognize it too, because you'll recognize when people are really trying to help you. And I've read you those comments. I ain't got to do that shit. That's real deal Holyfield. I don't know none of those people. They from all over the world. That's the reason why I love Submit Hub. And I'm not sponsored. I'm just saying. That type of stuff is what helps you as an artist, right? And then the love that I get from there too, yo, this song is dope, or yo, this is a hit, or yo, you made another song that I really fuck with. That also motivates you too. And the dopest part is that we all had the potential to be the best. There's no cap on that. There's right now, people will say Killer Mike is the best rapper alive. He's 47. Why not? He got 3 Grammys. He's catching up with the greats. I think he has more Grammys than Hov, right?
Yeah. I think so, yeah.
Hov never got a Grammy for his music, right? Yeah, nope, ever. So technically, Killer Mike might be a better rapper than Jay-Z. Isn't that crazy? He's older. Not older than Jay-Z, but he's an older artist. So that's what I mean. You can still be great no matter where you are now. I bet you that when you listen to my next album, The Love Is Real, and I would love to come back and, talk to you about it after you listen to that album. I hope that you say I'm better. I hope that you say yo, this shit is miles ahead of Free Lunch Baby. I hope you say that, because that means more to me than you saying oh, this is dope. That means that I am getting better as an artist. And what's the point if you're not getting better? Just doing this shit just to do it.
Well, I think that opens the door for when is your next album going to drop? When are you planning for it to come out?
As soon as humanly possible. My brother-in-law is a little personal, but my brother-in-law, he had a stroke.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Massive stroke. Oh, thank you. 43 years old, massive stroke, young man. Can't really walk well. Physically messed up. And it made me think you know what? motherfucker do I be waiting for? Like, make sure it's good. Make sure it's where you want it to be. Put the resources behind it. Make sure this shit is dope. But why wait? Like, I'm not beholden to no major label to drop music, right? I'm doing this shit by myself. I can bring out whenever the hell I want to. You know, I come up with like a little 6-week marketing plan. Boom, do some videos, get the songs together, let people hear it to make sure the shit sounds okay. And there we go. So hopefully I don't know yet, but I hope it will be before the summertime. I'm thinking maybe, depends on when Dexter, shout out to Dexter, on Instagram, he engineers and mixes and masters all my music. I'm hoping June. And I know that's like I dropped January and dropped in June, but you know, most of the album's done. I just need to get everything mixed and everything of that nature and then start planning what would be the songs that I'm gonna promote. But I'm hoping June. But you know, it's all about money and getting time and making sure that my engineer has time. And I just don't want to wait, man, because life is not promised. I could be like my brother-in-law, fucked up, like health mentally and physically messed up, and I can't do this shit no more. So I don't want to wait. I want to continue to drop good music, continue to make fun content based off of that music, continue to put videos out, and really like continue to grow and get better. That's my goal.
Well, man, my best wishes to your brother-in-law, my best wishes to you and your family. I know those things are not easy to go through, to say the least. So I hope, you know, there is a recovery, and I hope that, yeah, your family is okay in a difficult time. And yeah, I can't wait for you to drop your next project, man. I think, you know, you have such good energy when I think about, you know, our conversation, and when I think about the energy you're putting out there. And it's exciting, honestly, to be able to say that you're in a position to drop 2 albums in 6 months. You could look at dropping 3 albums in 12 months. You're all of a sudden, you know, really putting out a lot of music out there. And yeah, I really see no reason why you wouldn't be able to continue doing that, man. So I'm definitely excited. We can definitely catch up again when you drop that album, if that's not any additional motivation. But I only have one more question for you, my man. It's the only question that I plan on the show, but if you had to recommend one album that everybody should listen to at least once to get an appreciation of, can be any genre of music, cannot be your own music, what would it be?
Tame Impala Currents.
Damn, I could see you getting ready for the answer before I finish the question.
Yeah, that's probably one of the best albums I've ever heard. I don't know if you folks, you know, I don't know what genre that is. Alternative rock? I don't know if you ever heard Tame.
Tame Impala is pretty big down here.
Oh, obviously.
In Australia.
Obviously. Yeah, I mean, that's you know, home turf for him. So I don't think that people understand how much he influenced like Kendrick Lamar and like Tyler the Creator and like a lot of like the major hip hop rapping producer, Kanye West. I don't think people understand how influential he is. And I don't think that people understand like what he's talking about when he makes music. Because sometimes like the vocals are real low, or like the beat is overpowering, or it's like a humongous amount of reverb and delay on his music. But if you just listen to what he's saying, his message is beautiful. And it's a lot of heartache and pain. And I just feel like his beats are so dope that album is just an album you can listen to in any mood you want to. If you're pissed off, if you're mad, if you want to just chill, if you want to clean the house. I've listened to that album so many times. I would definitely highly recommend it for any artist. I don't care what you do, rapping, singing, whatever the fuck you do. Listen to that album, just feel the vibe. It will help you with your music. He definitely has. So that'll be my main recommendation.
There you go. Tame Impala, an Aussie. That's nice. Nice. I think the first Aussie recommendation we've had on the show. So look at you hitting off a tick. You're definitely making a lot of people happy, man. But as I said, absolutely amazing. For anyone who hasn't listened to it, please listen to Free Lunch Baby. Please follow Jimmy B Fearless on social media. Show him some love. And yeah, man, I appreciate you coming through. I appreciate you being on the show and sharing and sharing your insight, your opinions on the industry, on how you make music, and your general outlook on life, man. And yeah, I'm excited for you to continue doing some great things. And yeah, we'll definitely have to do this again. I think this was very smooth and very easy. I think I almost took the day off today. It was that easy. So yeah, I appreciate your time.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you for letting me come on, and thank you for letting me reach out to your audience. And yeah, connect with me on Instagram, TikTok, whatever, man. I just want to hear from people. Let me know what you think of the album. And I just appreciate the love, and thank you for continuing to represent hip hop. We need more people like you, man, for real.
My pleasure. Yeah, as I said, I'm just a fan. So I can't take any credit for genuinely the industry. I'm just happy to be like a spectator and just be allowed to like, be able to see through the window a little bit further than I ever thought I could. So yeah, I appreciate it, man. I'm glad that I'm only adding to it. Hopefully that's all I would want to do. And yeah, man, I'm excited for you. I really can't wait for your next project.
Thank you, man. It's gonna be. I'm excited for it. Every time I talk about it, I get happy. So this album is something I've never done. I've never done a pop rap album before. It's definitely different. It's definitely hard, but it's gonna be dope. So yeah, it's gonna be dope. I can't wait for
Stay
everybody to hear
tuned. And you said June, so people are probably going to be like, okay, I'm going to write that down. June.
it. I'm trying. I'm pressing, y'all. I'm pressing. But yeah, hopefully June, it'll be out. So yeah, I keep you in the know, man.
Awesome.